The following is produced by 5 Star Productions USA, which is solely responsible for its editorial content and is sponsored in part by a grant from Paul Mitchell Salon Hair Care.
A layer of carbon dioxide gas has always hugged our Earth like a cuddly blanket and kept it warm. But now the buildup of extra carbon dioxide from automobiles, power plants, and other emissions is making that blanket too thick and could turn it into a stifling shroud that's unnaturally heating up the planet. It's called global warming. And if we don't control it, life on Earth might change dramatically. Hi, I'm Ed Begley Jr. This is Today's Environment, where we explore what's being done to improve the health and welfare of our environment. Designers made this pen to last for years, but many disposable products like cheap pens, lighters, and razors are made to be thrown away. Just because something is used doesn't always mean it's useless. This next story takes a closer look.
Guilty or innocent? How do we plead to charges that we've become a throwaway society? Well, today, thousands of products come in disposable packages. Use it once and throw it away. Sure, it may be convenient, but the waste generated swells our overtaxed landfills to the bursting point.
Fortunately, more and more people realize that by constantly using disposable products, we may be throwing away our future. In fact, there's one new and flourishing industry that specializes in recycling and remanufacturing laser cartridges.
As offices, industry, and individuals continue to adopt laser printers for their computer output, the demand for the cartridges that hold the toner soars into the millions. According to BIS Strategic Decisions, estimated cartridge sales for 1994 alone exceeds 33 million. But rather than throwing them away and buying a new cartridge every time the toner runs out, many companies and individuals return the spent cartridges to recyclers for recharging and replace the used one with a recycled cartridge. The growth of this industry bodes well for the nation's overburdened landfills. The United Laser Toner Recyclers Association, also known as ULTRA, estimates that annually the number of spent laser cartridges laid end to end would reach from New York to Los Angeles and back again. Fortunately, recycled cartridge sales captured 24% of the market in 1994. The growth of this source eliminates an enormous load from the waste stream and sends the casings and recyclable parts back out to work again and again. Some remanufacturers even recycle the residual waste toner by sending it to asphalt manufacturers who use it as aggregate for road surfaces. Legal offices, accounting firms, and other companies that depend a lot on the printed word represent a constant source for the recycled cartridges. The nature of these businesses create a nearly insatiable demand for toner, and the cost savings from using remanufactured cartridges can make a major impact on their bottom line. Ultra sources also applaud this new industry for creating new jobs during a tough economy. Most new laser cartridges originate in Japan, but the vast majority of cartridge recyclers operate in the United States. The growing trend to refill and reuse rather than replace conserves energy, raw materials, and landfill space. Many cartridge recyclers make a concerted effort to also recycle packaging material. If handled with care, boxes and inside packing can also be used again and again. These toner cartridges provide the ammunition for the printed word, and by recycling them, we can help preserve the positive impact of our words without creating a negative impact on our environment.
You could heat 250,000 homes a day with the energy used to produce your daily delivery of junk mail. The thought leaves me cold. Get involved with Today's Environment today.
Every week, a family of 4 who takes 5-minute showers each day uses over 700 gallons. That's a 3-year supply of drinking water for one person. A low-flow shower head can cut that in half. Using less water more wisely makes sense. Watch this.
Welcome to the arid zone. Supplying water in this desert could be considered a burning issue, Living on this parched land has created challenges throughout this century. But the southern Nevada area is literally and figuratively one of the hottest spots in the nation. It leads all U.S. cities as the fastest growing metropolitan area. Evaporation, the merciless sun's unquenchable thirst, sucks moisture out of the land at an alarming rate. In spite of this, the Southern Nevada Water Authority must provide a reliable water supply for this burgeoning metropolis. But with a limited water supply and the population exploding, finding new sources of water out here looms as the Super Bowl of water management. Conservation stands out as one essential resource. State law, strict building codes, and water waste ordinances have started to yield water savings. Mandates from 1993 legislation require ultra-low volume plumbing fixtures in all new developments. The liquid extravagance displayed by this fountain is purely a mirage. Local codes require these waters to be recaptured and recycled. But laws can only go so far. Nothing can conserve water like a concerted effort from the general population. The legendary casinos and hotels in southern Nevada consume less than 4% of the total water supply. Home usage consumes 64% of the 73 billion gallons dispensed annually, and devote over half of that consumption to outdoor irrigation. That figure marks homeowners and their lawn sprinklers as the primary targets for water conservation. Education stands out as the divining rod for this water resource, and the Southern Nevada Water Authority launched an extensive program with videos, a speakers bureau, workshops, displays, and a library of informational materials to teach consumers how to maximize the efficiency of their water use. Simply watering the lawn properly at the right time of day can save enormous quantities of water, yet maintain a lush and healthy landscape. A 2.5-acre demonstration garden, which highlights the plants and grasses that thrive better in the arid climate, gives suggestions for attractive home landscapes that gulp less water. In an effort to reach every member of the community, the utility even translated its program materials for the Las Vegas Valley's growing Latino population. Research programs to improve existing resources and find new ones also continue. Groundwater recharge, a technique that pumps treated water from the Colorado River and stores it within the groundwater system, has created a water bank for future and peak demands. In a desert, water conservation programs face a literal trial by fire. But the learning gained from this arid laboratory can be readily applied to more habitable locations. If water conservation can help make one of the most forbidding locations on the planet a paradise, just imagine how well it could work in your hometown. In a moment on Today's Environment, why biodiesel stands out as a dramatic advancement, then a new process attacks contaminated soil. Next.
Little things mean a lot, especially in terms of healing the planet. Every time you conserve, every time you recycle, every time you do anything at all to improve, repair, or sustain the earth, it matters. I think this next segment might inspire you.
No oil field ever looked this good. Yet, the renewable harvest from these blooms could provide more energy. Tiny rape seeds, no bigger than a pinhead, make a vegetable oil that reacts with alcohol and turns into a clean-burning diesel engine fuel. It's called biodiesel fuel, and it may eventually provide the U.S. with an alternative to our current dependence on emission-heavy fossil fuels. The prospect of growing energy on American farms instead of importing it from desert oil fields may make sense on an economic level alone. But when examined on an environmental level, the development of biodiesel may stand out as a major advancement. The agricultural fuel burns dramatically cleaner than ordinary diesel without altering the standard engine. Even a blend using only 20% biodiesel and 80% diesel produces a dramatic decrease in emissions. Ongoing research sponsored by the Pacific Northwest and Alaska Regional Bioenergy Program explores all phases of this alternate to petroleum. As a partner in this program, the University of Idaho built a biodiesel long-term laboratory testing facility to examine endurance, emissions, efficiency, biodegradability, toxicity, and much more. Actual operating data comes from 3 standard diesel pickup trucks that travel thousands of miles to promote and test this innovative fuel. Biodiesel can offer many advantages over regular petroleum diesel. If spilled, biodiesel breaks down into a solution less potent than sugar water within about 23 days. In contrast, the 1990 Exxon Valdez oil spill still affects our environment today. Ordinary diesel ignites and burns at 176 degrees Fahrenheit. Biodiesel blends don't hit their flash point until temperatures reach over 300 degrees. This provides an added safety element to the fuel. Almost any vegetable oil, like that produced from rapeseed, soybeans, canola, safflower, and other crops, can be reacted with either alcohol, methyl, or ethyl to create biodiesel. The oil can even be used in food processing first and then recycled into fuel. Sources at the Regional Bioenergy Program say that only 10% of America's cropland could provide enough biodiesel to replace all of the diesel fuel used for U.S. agriculture. In environmentally sensitive areas like the national parks and forests, utility vehicles may start to use fuel made up of 100% biodiesel. As testing proves the feasibility of this alternate fuel, biodiesel may replace its petroleum-based counterpart more and more, because the right combination of vegetable oil and alcohol may prove to be the winning recipe for a healthier environment.
You alone can wipe out 10 pounds of carbon dioxide emissions every year for the rest of your life and beyond with one simple act. Plant a tree. Get involved with today's environment today.
This balloon sprung a leak. Fortunately, only air is escaping. Sometimes we're not so lucky. Underground tanks and pipes often wear out, and toxic chemicals seep out. Even if it's easy to plug the leak, what about the mess? This next story looks at one idea.
Sometimes the most ominous dangers are the ones you can't even see. Contaminated soil often looks the same as clean dirt, but hydrocarbons, mercury, pesticides, and other chemicals can foul the earth and pose a serious threat to groundwater.
Underground petroleum tanks and leaky pipes name only 2 ways for harmful chemicals to leach into the earth. Once detected, traditional treatment methods for repairing the contaminated site include digging up the affected material and then hauling it off to landfills or incinerating it. But now there may be a way to remove the pollution from the soil and return it to its original location. This technique starts with a device called the IRV-100, developed by McLaren-Hart Environmental Engineering Corporation. It combines the power of infrared heat and a vacuum to extract the contaminants and clean the earth. During this process, the contaminated soil gets loaded into a vacuum chamber to a depth of about 18 inches. After closing the gates, a heavy steel cover rolls over and seals the chamber. 16 infrared heaters start to heat the soil. The top 4 inches of the dirt then begins to heat up. As the temperature rises, powerful blowers or fans suck air and heat down through the soil, which creates the convection to heat the remaining 14 inches of earth. When the dirt reaches a critical temperature, the volatile contaminants begin to boil and become gaseous. The air flowing downward creates a vacuum and carries those vapors with it. The airflow passes through a carbon filter that extracts and traps the toxins and returns clean air back to the atmosphere. The filtered contaminant vapors remain in a storage tank for testing, identification, and proper disposal. The decontaminated dirt can then be sampled and analyzed and returned to its original site. Sources at McLaren-Hart praise this process because it offers several advantages. The relatively compact unit can fit on a flatbed truck and therefore tends to be extremely mobile. The remediation effort can be performed on-site, and the original soil returned to the excavation, saving valuable landfill space or eliminating the need for controversial soil incineration. And many states classify the IRV-100 process as an enhanced vacuum extraction system, which in many cases eliminates the time and cost of obtaining air permits. Remediation efforts using this unit can begin very quickly to prevent further damage from the toxic seepage.
To err is human, and unfortunately, environmental accidents do happen. But having one more weapon at our disposal will help us face the future with a more potent cleanup arsenal. This new process makes it possible to heat the contaminated soil in order to keep our subsurface environment from getting burned.
Next, on Today's Environment, hot and cold combine to reduce liquid waste, plus another closed-loop recycling success story.
Toxic chemicals. Often they fight industrial chores nothing else can handle. Unfortunately, they can leave a stream of waste whose disposal poses more complications than the original job. Sometimes there's a better way, and this next segment examines one possibility.
Fire and ice. They've been with us since the dawn of man. Who would think that the simple combination of hot and cold may provide a key to our recovery from industry's toxic chemical dependence? Paint strippers, CFC-based chemicals, and other solvents traditionally provide the necessary firepower to depaint, clean, or degrease surfaces. Unfortunately, the byproduct of their performance becomes a stream of hazardous waste. But now, a blast of dry ice alone, or combined with an intense flash of light, can strip paint off of metal and composites without leaving a toxic river behind. Consider the waste generated and environmental damage created by cleaning food processing equipment with caustic solutions or tire molds with toxic chemicals. How about stripping the paint off a narrow-body jet, an everyday assignment in the aerospace industry? Normally, this job would generate about 30 tons of hazardous liquid from the strippers, solvents, and rinse water. But new technology developed by Coldjet Incorporated with several partners allows workers to depaint the same jet, yet generate only 175 pounds of hazardous waste. Their flash jet system combines the powers of extreme heat and cold. The heat energy transferred by a light pulse from a xenon bulb chars the paint without hurting the jet's surface. During the flash, a blast of dry ice pellets lifts the charred coating from the surface, and a vacuum captures the burnt particles. The dry ice blasting technology works alone in their cold jet system. It degreases, depaints, and deflashes surfaces. They developed this system as an alternative surface preparation and precision cleaning tool, which reduces waste at the source. Unlike other grit blasting devices, this process projects dry ice pellets in 3 optional sizes as the media. After contacting the surface, they dissipate into the air without leaving a residue or creating any airborne respirable dust. These non-conductive projectiles offer one option to Freon and other CFC-laden chemicals in cleaning circuit boards and electrical components. In other uses, they eliminate hazardous waste from caustic or toxic solvents. Liquid carbon dioxide, recycled as the byproduct from the other chemical processes, provides an environmentally safe key to the dry ice system because it adds no new carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. The gas harmlessly evaporates back into the atmosphere and eliminates much of the extensive cleanup required from other grit blasting techniques. In these innovative applications of fire and ice, technology may be taking some giant strides to preventing our future from drowning in an ocean of liquid waste.
You may have heard of closed-loop recycling. That's when waste from one source finds its way back again as a finished good. This next segment illustrates how closing the loop can help put the Earth back in the winner's circle.
All dressed up with nowhere to go. That can describe many company paper recycling programs. People want to divert their paper waste from the trash and give it a new lease on life. However, finding a market for the enormous tonnage of discarded letters, computer printouts, and other documents sometimes poses a daunting challenge. If no recycling outlet can be found, landfills or incinerators become the regrettable options. Fortunately, the paper industry recycles more of their waste product than any other industry. In 1993, 40% of waste paper products made it into recycling centers. That's more than 4 times plastic, aluminum, and glass combined. Now, some paper manufacturers, like the Mohawk paper mills, have become the key link in fostering closed-loop recycling. They literally close the recycling loop by agreeing to manufacture paper for companies using their own waste paper as a raw material. Those memos purged from the files yesterday can now return to the same office tomorrow as annual reports or other printed corporate communications. This closed-loop process allows people to see the tangible results of their recycling efforts. The concept started a whole new enterprise for Eastman Kodak. A cost-cutting project inspired several employees to suggest pulling a shut-down paper-making machine out of retirement. They reconditioned the facility to de-ink white paper and create pulp from the company's annual output of 15,000 tons of office waste. They arranged to sell the reprocessed pulp to Mohawk, who would then create high-grade printing paper and sell it back to them. The new enterprise proved so successful, it created 30 jobs and now accepts waste paper from non-company sources. Every day, paper mills continue to make similar agreements with other large companies. It takes about a minimum of 40,000 pounds or 1 truckload of waste to make the special production run feasible. Not every company can de-ink office waste paper and reprocess the pulp. However, waste paper brokers often help in stewarding the material from the recycling bins through reprocessing and all the way back to the company supply cabinet. Close the loop. If we can use today what we threw out yesterday, well, we just might see a better tomorrow.
You know what burns me up? Americans buy and throw out over 500 million disposable lighters every year. 2 billion disposable razors and 1.5 billion ballpoint pens also end up in the trash. Buy reusable, not disposable, or we may be throwing away our future. I hope this show helped make you a little more ecologically sensitive. Join us next time as we explore more environmental solutions on Today's Environment.
To purchase a complete written transcript or a videotape copy of this or any edition of Today's Environment, write to this address or call 1-800-877-7769.
If you know of any interesting environmental success stories, call us at 407-997-9800. This has been a presentation of 5 Star Productions USA. The preceding program was sponsored in part by a grant from Paul Mitchell Salon Hair Care.